Hello guys, welcome to another video of our React tutorial series. In this video, we're going to talk about React Router and we're going to see how to set up navigation in our React application. So one would want to ask, why do we use React Router? So remember that React is a single page application framework, meaning it loads just one HTML file. So we need React Router to navigate without full page reload, to move from one page to another without having our page to fully reload. And we also need React Router so we can have a very clean URL structure and a dynamic routing. So for a second, just imagine you're building a React web application with multiple pages like home, about, and contact. How do users navigate between them? Without routing, React only renders a single component at a time, making navigation very difficult. Just like what you can see here. We have a single application with multiple components. We have the home component, the about component, and the contact component. From what you can see, this approach works, but it is inefficient for large applications. It doesn't support browser history that is going backward and going forward, and URLs don't reflect page changes. When the URL changes, pages don't change. When the pages changes, the URL doesn't change. That is where React Router comes in. So we're going to proceed with installing React Router and see how we can use it in our web application. So here is our application we've been using throughout the series. So we're going to see how we can install React Router. We're going to install React Router using the npm, the node package manager, and we're going to install a package called React Router DOM. So what we're going to do is to head up to our browser and just search React npm React Router DOM. So if you hit enter, you're going to see it here, www.npmjs.com packages React Router. When I head over to it, you're going to see the documentation. So this package simply re-exports everything. You can read through it. And what I'm going to do is to go to the install panel and copy the install command. Right, I'm copying this and I'm going over to my application. So I'll open up my terminal and I'm going to just paste that. Right, what we have here is npm I for install React Router DOM. If I hit enter, it's going to install React Router in my application. Right, this is done. So let's set up our React Router. How do we do that? First, we're going to head over to our app.js. So I'm going to have three important imports here. First, I'm going to say import browser history, browser router rather, comma, browser router as router, comma, I'm going to install routes, comma, and I'm going to install route. I'm going to import route rather, so I'm not installing here. So I imported browser router as router, I imported routes, and I imported route. So the next thing we're going to do is to define routes inside our route. How do we do that? We'll head over to our return statement and we're just going to return router. So we're going to wrap all, sorry about that. We're going to wrap all our components in our router, and inside the router we're going to have our routes, which is going to hold all our routes, our different routes, right? So before we do that, let's first of all create a page. Let's head over to our page. Okay, we already have a page, so let's create a home page. Right, so I'm going to create a home page, say home.js. This is supposed to be home.jsx. Let me rename that home.jsx. So inside our home.jsx, what I'm going to do is just to return a function called home, which is just returning a JSX h1. I will say this is home, and I'm going to export this as default. Right, so what I'm going to do is to import this home to our app.js. But how do we do that? We do that by defining the route. We say route, the route have a path attribute that accepts the path. Right, I will explain. After that, we're going to have the element parameter that will accept the element that should be rendered, right? And after that, we do that here. So the first thing we're going to do here, the first thing we have here is the path. So in our browser, what is the URL that we want to use and load the home page, right? So whenever we say slash, it means this is the index page we want to load. This is basically the home page. And when we get to this browser, this URL, what do we want to load? We want to load a component. And here in the component we want to load is the home component, right? If you look from here, I imported the home from our home pages. So if I save this means that let's just make sure we have the right thing. We have our browser router imported as router, we have our routes, and we have our route, right, which is defining each of our path. So let's head over here to start our application and see what we have. Let's do npm run dev. This is going to start our application in port 5173. If I click on this, it opens up. So this is what we have. We have this is home, right? We have this is home. We got this from the home page, and this is what we have here. How do we add multiple pages and multiple routes to our page? So for example, let me just create another page. Let's call this page login page. Let's create login.jsx, right? So inside my login.jsx, I'm going to export default. I'm going to export default login page, export default function. So this is going to be export default function login page, right? And I'm going to return just the same thing we did, for the home page. I'm going to say h2, this is login page. Right, if we do this and we go over to app.jsx and I create another route and I say route, and I say path should be /login, and my element should be my login page, which of course we're going to import from our pages. And if we do this and we save, nothing is going to change, right? If we head over to application, we still have this is the home, right? But if we change this, if we move this over to the top and we save, we're going to have so this is what we have. But if we change this to login, right, if we do this and we swap it, we're going to have this is login page, right? Oh, sorry, I say login page. That's a typo error. Let's do that, but let's correct that. This is supposed to be this is login page, right? This is login page. So what did we do here? We swap the URL. So whenever the URL changes, the page is going to render something different, right? Let's go back to what we have. We have the home. This is the home. So let's try to change the URL up here to login. If we hit enter, we see this is login page, right? So the next thing we're going to see how to set up a 404 page. What happens when I go to a URL that does not exist like this? What should happen? My page is blank, right? But I should show my user that they provided a 404 page. So what do? I'm going to set up, I'm just going to duplicate this route, but here what we're going to have is just an asterisk. This means for every other page that is not listed here, showed my user this component, and we're going to create the 404 page. We're going to say 404, or we're going to say not found, not -found.jsx. If I hit this, I'm just going to copy what we have here. I'm going to change this to not found, and I'm going to say 404 page, right? If I go over to my app.jsx and I import that component not found, right? I've imported it here and I hit save. If I go back to my application, you're going to see 404 page, because what I inputted here is logins. In my routes, I don't have any URL, any path like login. So whatever page that does not exist falls back to this asterisk URL. So that, guys, that is how to set up a 404 page in your application. So that is it, guys, for this video. In our next video, we're going to see how to navigate through these pages using elements like the link element or even the anchor tag, and subsequently we're going to see how to dynamically route from one page to another using route parameters and every other thing we need to know about React Router. Please don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to share, drop a comment if you have any issue. See you guys in the next video. Bye.